Alright everyone, there was a special election, of course, in Kansas for one of the House seats there, and the GOP held it. Now this was trumped up for several days before by a lot of people on the left that really wanted to see the Democrats take a House seat. They're like, oh, the era of Trump has already ended. He's so unpopular. The GOP's made so many mistakes. They're just, they don't know what they're doing. They're running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And I'm sitting back laughing because, of course, that describes the Democratic Party still far more than it does the GOP. They've got their president. He's got his inner circle. Most of the Never Trump holdouts are now completely silent, to the point where you've got people who were like, oh, Trump is literally the Antichrist, and now they don't say anything bad about him. They may not be, like, applauding him all the time, and his approval is now, by the way, ticking back up, partially because he bombed Syria, of all things. But most of the Never Trumpers are like, they're silent. You've got this problem. It's like the corporate media and the Democrats make a big stink about, oh, Bannon versus Kushner. Will Donald Trump's evil inner circle of Nazi friends win, or will it be this like globalist who looks shiny and new-faced and we kind of like him because maybe he wants to bomb more people and make our sponsors more money or something? And it's all a bunch of horse shit, because doesn't this happen in any administration? Aren't there always going to be disagreements on policy? The fact that Trump appears more willing to let people within his cabinet, within his aides and advisors, air their grievances because he's like the social media president, that should be a breath of fresh air to you. Yeah, it's a little bit of soap opera. Some of it may or may not even be kind of truly authentic, but still entertaining, and I don't see any real harm in it. But the Democrats now, for a couple of months, have set the stage once again for disaster for their party. They have declared that the GOP is unhinged, that they're doing everything wrong, that Trump has already failed as a president, and yet they can't even take this seat in a special election, and they're probably not going to take anything else of any great value. And in the midterms, I don't expect them to do well. It's shaping up. If things keep going, you can't make a prediction this far out, but if things continue on the same trajectory that they're going now, the Republicans are going to hold everything in the midterms. They're not going to suddenly start hemorrhaging support. They'll probably end up because it's so lopsided, they probably will lose a couple House seats in the midterms. It's not going to be a victory for the Democrats. I would doubt that they'd lose anything in the Senate. They might make a gained seat or two. As far as governor seats and so forth, they'll be about even odds. They'll do just fine. And the Democrats, once again, will have a total mental breakdown, blame Russia or blame Reds under the bed or something like that. That's what it's shaping up to happen. Now, this actually means better things for them in 2020, because the additional stress on the party from continuing their slow collapse into irrelevance will force them to put somebody in the forefront who's not a neoliberal. That's a problem they had this last time around. They ignored the paradigm shift, which involved both the progressive wing as well as a lot of people, both in and out of the Democratic Party, who wanted a Jim Webb-style candidate. They wanted it to return to sort of unions and working class and common sense, be sort of like a tempered labor movement. And the neoliberals ignored that. They were too busy talking about how Clinton wanted to strike Iran and how she had boobs and a vagina. That's all they talked about. That's all they cared about. She's a woman, vote for her. We need to smash the glass ceiling. And of course that glass ceiling special effect that cost millions of dollars to make never actually got deployed because she lost. How sad. And by the way, saying this as someone who voted for Trump but is not part of his core of support and is ultimately independent, I'm still glad that he won. Yes, Syria aside, black sites aside, I'm still glad that he won over Hillary Clinton. We'd probably already be in a major regional war in the Middle East if she had won. She talked like she wanted to strike Iran on day one. She talked like she wanted to, we're going to bomb out Assad, we're going to enter Libya, we're going to put more troops back in Iraq, and we're going to invade Iran. And we're probably going to start hammering Russia too. It'd be World War III at that point. Or at the very least, it'd be the most messy diplomatic situation you can imagine. It'd be terrible. Trump's willing to hardline our foes or our competitors, but so far, what's he done in a warmongering sense? He fired some missiles at a mostly empty airfield. Now, Clinton would have depopulated most of the country and then sat back and laughed about all the dead children like she did in Libya or any of these other states. she's a fiscal hawk. She's a war hawk, a chicken hawk, really. She wouldn't have to fight. None of her relatives would have to fight, you know, because she's female and her daughter's female and Bill's over the hill. But here you go. Trump's doing just fine. And the proof is in the pudding. You look at the special election here. GOP holds it. The left talks a big game for a few days about how great it is. Oh, we can probably win this. We can start chipping away at the GOP's evil stranglehold of gerrymandered support. And it doesn't happen. Now, yeah, this is Kansas, so it's a red state. It's not like some, you know, swing state enclave or anything like that. But they still hold it. And the left right now has devolved into oligarchy. Here's what people, I think, need to understand. They have not congealed behind some central anti-Trump figure. That's their problem. In times past, they typically did. They had somebody, whether it was the former candidate, or a former president, or some young upstart like an Obama figure. They had somebody who they could sort of ideologically get behind. They coalesced behind them more or less. They can't do that right now. You've got Sanders and Warren and sort of the progressive side. You've got Clinton and Obama and sort of the neoliberal side. You've still got the webs of the party on sort of the union and working class, you know, centrist side. They can't congeal. They're ideologically opposed to one another. You basically got three parties in one. You've basically got three political parties within the Democratic Party. Any of them could split off from the other two, or they could all go their separate ways if they have enough social stress. The Democrats have taken up the neoliberal banner once again in the form of their DNC head, Tom Perez. That doesn't speak well of their chances in the midterms. And they're going to continue making the same mistakes. We even see their strategy is the same old crap that they were using before. They're still using like the Clinton through Obama era strategy even when they talk to people. They still haven't gotten on board with social media politicking. They're still not there yet. And I mean, is there really enough time before the midterms for them to accomplish that successfully and start driving the message home? No, not really, because they'd also have to fundamentally reform their party. They'd have to actually admit that they sometimes make mistakes. Wow. They'd have to admit that sometimes when they fail, it's their own fucking fault. Wow. They haven't done that. They blamed Russia for their loss. They blame other people for every problem in the country, even problems started by people like Obama. When Obama arms and funds the FSA, they sit back and they try to blame Donald Trump for the fact that Syria is a mess. That's crazy talk. And they're also hypocrites. You see it all the time now. All of a sudden, and another true prediction, the left becomes rabidly anti-war the second that Trump drops some missiles onto an airfield in Syria. Once again, now they're anti-war. Now they're against bombing things in foreign countries. They didn't have a problem when Obama dropped hundreds of missiles every single day around the Middle East. Now, I opposed it then. I still oppose it under Trump because it's not a war of liberation and it's not a war of self-defense. But can you stop being hypocrites? This might be part of your problem. Yeah, I think that might be a little bit of your issue with branding, with keeping the younger voters on board with your party. Part of it might be the fact that you change your mind constantly and you don't even have an ideology. Neoliberals will just tell you whatever's convenient to get elected at the time. That's all they believe in. What's best for my campaign contributions? That's all they care about. So Trump is doing well right now with North Korea. He's still talking about tax reform, although it's slow in the coming. I wish he had focused on that first, honestly. That would have been a better choice. Now, as far as the wall, who knows? Some of the GOP wants to scrap it. Trump still wants to retain it. What's going to happen? I don't know. There's no way to predict that. There are too many different parties fighting over that very touchy issue within the GOP. It should be cut and dry. It should be easy. A basic formula was already crafted by Trump himself. It should be simple. We'll see what happens. As far as the Middle East, Trump has now reiterated we're not going into Syria. Good. Good. That takes a little bit of sweat off my brow worrying about that, honestly. It looks like Trump has made his point and now is going to move on to North Korea, which is fine. Go ahead and bomb Kim Jong-un out of existence. The world would be a better place for it. It's the one place we could actually make that happen. As far as the Democrats getting their act together, though, it doesn't look like they are. They still trot out Pelosi of all people to refute Trump. They still have her stand there and say all the things that Trump is doing, or Feinstein. They've been doing that. When Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein are counted among the major figureheads of your political movement, you have difficulties. Very, very big difficulties. Looking at the Republicans saying, oh, they're off kilter, they don't know what they're doing. Now, that's the Democrats. The Republicans know full well what they're doing. They control the House and Senate. Something went right during the last election. They control the legislature completely. They got their Supreme Court nominee, and you barely even bothered to attack the issue, by the way, once he was confirmed. I haven't heard a peep from you other than saying, oh, yeah, he was confirmed. Now you're saying nothing about it. They get their president. They get the majority of governor's seats and state legislatures. What did they do wrong? It doesn't seem like a party that's dying off to me. It seems like one that's been reinvigorated. That's the modern Republican Party. You don't have to be a Republican to see that. That's about all. Peace out.